Hello, welcome once again. This is Amy, the Mystic Rose Tarot. I am here to give you our second decan for the month of Aries, and we are going to be speaking about this week of March 31st into April 9th, which is the second decan, to represent the sign of Aries. Aries is a fire sign. It is also a cardinal sign, being that it initiates, it gets things moving, it starts motivating energy to start putting things into action, to start manifesting. And so we are in the middle of our Decan Aries month. And I always feel so far with doing my decan readings that the second decan of each astrological month is actually, I feel, strongly represents the energy of that sign. Not that it's any more or less, but I feel when you're right in the second decan, right in the midst of Aries, you don't have any residual energy that's being carried over from the previous sign or anything that's coming up that could influence, like in the third decan. When we get towards that time of the month for the third decan, we start seeing Taurus energy playing a little bit of an influence. But here, we are full on Aries. There are no other planets, or I'm sorry, there's no other signs in between that can influence it. So that's why I feel this decan is very important. The second decan in each of the signs, I feel, is more empowering because it is utilizing the full Aries energy, characteristics, thought process, physical actions that takes place. So with that being said, I have 3 cards. I normally do 2. I actually have 4 cards, but my main card is the Unified Esoteric Tarot. And the other cards, the other 3 cards I have around it, signify the minor arcana card of influence for the second decan, which is the 3 of Wands. So this is our Unified Esoteric Tarot card, which I've been using since I started this series as the guide to welcome in each of the decans for each month. So here I have the Sun in Aries, okay, to represent this decan. And we're seeing passion. And passion can fall across almost all of the astrological signs. But of course, their element, their signs, if they're either mutable, cardinal, or fixed, all plays an influence. But here, with the Unified Esoteric Tarot, this passion's coming with the sun's influence, the vitality that the sun gives into a sign, the encouragement. It gives the courage and strength and that drive to one's endeavors. The ideas, the hard works, and the intention that has all been put into action. But at this time, let's be open-minded during this decan week. And whatever we are in the process of creating, let it flow naturally. Okay. You could still be doing a little bit of refinement here and there, but for the most part, I feel during this week, whatever you're working on, just let it go. Let it move on its own. Keep that trust and belief that what is going to be returned to you is going to be in your best interest. So whatever energy, or if it's something that's already been completed and you've already sent it out, job application, a letter inquiring about a few things or a issue, anything like that where there's a potential return, don't control it. You've already put all the work into it. It's time to let it go. And again, we're with the Three of Wands. So this is like the first step of the process to see what's going to be influenced during this whole time. So it's best, don't change the course of the direction that you've already put your time and energy into it. Just let it out and just put trust that it's going to be okay. We don't want to disrupt the natural flow of how things are going. If something comes in to curtail what you're doing, take a moment to see that detour, what is going on, what's happening, okay? And I think at this point, if anything comes in that may influence what you're working on, you may just want to let it go. Unless it's going to be something destructive, obviously you have to stand protective of it. But again, with the sun in Aries, that sun has a lot of pride. Sun is ruled by the sign of Leo. So we have that influence of like, I'm doing this. I like the way it's going. You know, that's very key for Aries and Leo, because these are the two signs that have the influence of the self, of the ego. And so it's all about them and everything that they put into their work, into their relationships, so on and so forth. It's very important. That's where the passion, the excitement, the drive into something that you strongly believe in. So with the Three of Wands, and also to point out, Aries rules the first house of the self. So it's all about us, how we see things, emotionally, how we connect to certain situations and stuff. It comes with us. It's the self first, it's the ego first, and then everything else can sort of fall into place. But you got to take care of yourself, capital SELF, and take care of those projects first, those important matters first that will affect you. Okay, so as I mentioned, the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands is about growth and expansion. It does have Jupiter influence because it is that that energy of being optimistic, and this is what we want to keep during this week. We want to keep everything positive, even if things may be a little challenging or whatnot. Keep it uplifted. Keep it real. You know, you want to keep this energy, whatever you're working on, you want to keep it moving. You want it to keep it healthy. And so there's also that anticipation of what lies ahead, but remain open to any changes, as I mentioned, that may occur. You know, welcome opportunities. If something comes in that may kind of, in your eyes, feel like it's going to throw things off track, let it happen, because this may actually enhance the situation, whatever you're working on. And it may not necessarily change the direction, but it would actually create more growth into what you're doing. Again, growth and expansion. And also how you see things. I'm going to put this card down, and then I'll give the explanation of the DreamKeepers, Three of Wands. You want to have a broad perspective. And by doing so and keeping it positive and just sending that energy out and knowing that what you've done so far, even though we're just the third card into the journey of the Wands, we're seeing how the results are. We're seeing how people are going to react to this. So by keeping it open, will allow greater success. Even with this goal that you're working on or this intention, it could cause greater success long term. And by keeping that attitude and that perspective, being open-minded, will, in the future, that can be applied to anything else that you're working. You learn from this experience. Let's say you have this open mind and you throw that rod, the reel, into the lake. And you just wait and just say, hey, it's going to happen. When it happens, it'll happen. And that time and patience that you put in could actually come back and give you something greater than you were not even expecting. So it's very important with the Three of Wands to just to keep everything open. So here's a good example. Here we have our Three of Wands. And this is from the DreamKeepers Tarot by Liz Houston. And we're seeing the scene here. And what's interesting with two of the three cards I'm going to be showing you that represent the Three of Wands, look at the landscape. Okay, we're looking here into the vast sea. We see a ship out in the distance, and usually this is represented as our goal, as our intention, and it's already been sent out. And we're just looking out. You know, when you go to the beach and maybe there's some areas that you can climb and just kind of look at the ocean. It's sort of that same feel. You're looking out and you're seeing the vastness of where this intention's going, where this goal is going. And it's so big. You know, this is the macrocosm. This is where we are, and this is the microcosm. Just putting it out there and just keeping it confident and having that patience, commitment, surrender any anxiety, any second guessing. This is part of the keys. This is part of the key for this exploration. And in turn, by keeping this attitude of patience and remaining committed in what you're working to and just letting go of those feelings, you learn about yourself. As much of a journey that your intention is going on, so are you. You're part of this whole process. And so we are solely responsible for our creative actions. But also we need to know that there is support there that's needed when available. Just trust in your ideas and abilities so that we can see from a distance how things are manifesting and potentially foreseeing the end result. You know, if things are probably happening as this goal is starting to build up and you're starting to get a sense that this is the direction that's going into. The other card I have here, this is a large card. Okay, this is from the Nature Spirit Tarot. And this is a beautiful deck. I want to bring this animal nature influence for this particular reading because we are in spring and we're going to start seeing animals coming out of hibernation. So I want to pay homage for nature as it's going to start coming out. We're already hearing the birds chirping and the energy is starting to build up. And it's similar here. Here we have a hawk, and the Three of Wands here are actually represented by amethyst. And amethyst is a crystal that is used in the spiritual practice for meditation, for spiritual grounding, for focus. And this is a beautiful representation of those energies with this card. The scene is calm, as we see here. It's vast. There's nothing. There's no distractions. We have birds here to also enforce that energy of guidance and movement. We're seeing the growth here that has been already starting on the wands, and the same that we see here. These are the wands, but we're seeing growth. I believe this could be lavender. I think it could be lavender. And then we have the apples, which means prosperity and abundance and good health. So this is a very influential card, the Three of Wands, because of that energy. Everything's promising. Everything is starting to build up. Everything is where it needs to be. And as I mentioned, if something does come in to disturb that balance, we just let it run its course. Things happen for a reason. And these out of the ordinary actions that may take place may be jarring, but there's a reason for it. Maybe there's a reason that there has to be a delay. Something is just being held up for that time being. Know that it's temporary. And again, just put trust in everything that you've put into your goals and manifestation. And in turn, that journey of sending prosperity and opportunities towards what you're working on also reflects who you are. And knowing that this is going to be fine, everything's going to work out. Okay, so the next card I have here is the Tarot of the Holy Light. And this is more fitting. And it's representing here, I'm going to move closer, for Jupiter and Aries. And remember what I was saying earlier? Jupiter is this card for higher knowledge, experience, seeing things in a wider perspective. Even though here, with the Unified Esoteric Tarot, we have the Sun in Aries, this is the energy. This is the energy that's influencing this movement. And here Jupiter is showing its influence when it comes to the potential outcome, what you can get from this. And Jupiter is a positive card. It's also a card of luck. But here, what we're seeing is the success that's coming through one's effort, hard work, all the energy that they're putting in it. We're reaching our inner confidence. We're testing, I should say, our inner confidence when it comes to accomplishments. Effort and discipline, very important in this card. And here we have different elements here to influence this. I'm not going to focus too much on the Latin script that's here, but just more or less the energy. We see the sun that's rising and the moon as it's getting ready to set. And then we have, as you look here, we have three-headed serpent. And this is very important because with the circular three-headed snake, it represents the motion. This is a quote from the Tarot of the Holy Light guidebook, and I think this encompasses the true essence of the Three of Wands. It represents the motion of the divine will, time, and space, and how these aspects shape the outcome of our intentions, how we use our will, and the time that we put into it, and the space, the place that we're in. Are we taking advantage of where we are to benefit us? Jupiter in Aries, in relation to this card, guides us towards potential luck and placing values into our goals. And then we have, it's not noted here, but the exaltation of this card is Mars and Capricorn. Exalted means that it does, this other planet comes in and influences the planet and sign, this energy. And it's Mars and Capricorn. And it brings this more into a perspective of being driven to have the success. This is going to happen. Okay, so here we have the divine will, the time and the space that we're working to send and to create and to manifest. Continue the creation of what means a lot to us. This is hopeful. So this is another way of reading this card with the Mars and Capricorn exaltation. Mars is that energy. Okay, we've got that force. Capricorn is putting that work and putting it into a disciplined perspective. So a combination of Jupiter and Aries and Mars and Capricorn, I feel you have a very strong force of having success in what you do. So when this card comes up, if you work with the tarot, the Holy Light, this will be very important towards the outcome of your goal, of your intention. And also, one other thing to point out is Capricorn, because there's that Mars energy, so it's moving. It can be sometimes maybe too much energy. And with Mars and Capricorn having that control and that discipline can better direct that energy. So it's a little bit more focused instead of it just like being all over the place. This will be of better guidance, Mars and Capricorn, towards, again, working in the direction that you really feel strongly about. Puts more of a linear focus on what you're doing instead of the energy being all out. So we have expansive with Jupiter and Aries, and then Capricorn, because of Saturn, we've got the opposing energies, contract. So it holds back that energy and it contains it a bit more, but still allowing that space to move. It's very important with Capricorn that things don't get too restricted. Give the space for that energy to continue to move. So with the guidance of the Unified Esoteric Tarot and the Three of Wands, what we can take from this is staying focused and putting trust in what we are strongly desired to share out to people, what we feel is of importance, all the hard work that we've placed. Give the space, put it out there, don't control it here. Give the space that it needs, let it go. I'm going to do it like this so they're facing. And again, just look at the scene here. It's very calm. There's nothing chaotic. Okay, and these are singular card interpretations. And obviously when there's other cards that come up in a reading that surround this, they're gonna show the influence of either it supporting the direction of the Three of Wands, again, depending on how the reading is, or it may weaken it. It may say that things are going to be a little bit slower. But the key words here is hard work, growth, trust, discipline. And during this time, while all this energy is being put out, take a moment to just have some introspective time to reflect on what has been created. And when things come back in return, if anything has shifted, which more than likely it has, because we're putting something out and we're letting it run its course, comes back in a different state, then you know how to work with it, because you've already spent the time and the focus and your love into this. And now you can go into the next step. So again, this is early in the suit of wands. Okay, these are the early stages. We're seeing that growth. We're seeing the early stages of what has been created. It's not finished yet. There's still more to come. Okay, so we have those signs up there with the leaves and the growth here on the amethyst. The potential is there, and we have to put trust in it. The one thing that you don't want to have with this card, if it does come in reverse, and again, this is from March 31st to April 9th, if you feel like the energy isn't being as driven, you may feel like you're disconnected. You're not fully putting all your belief, all your trust into what you're working in. And in doing so, what you put out, you're going to get back in return. You need to change that energy. We can't have disengagement, disconnection from what we're working with. We have to keep the energy moving. Wands is always constant energy moving. And of course, during the journey of the wands, there are going to be conflicts with all of the suits. We're going from the aces to the 10. 9, we see the completion. And in the 10s, we're seeing the next steps that need to be taken care of to continue onward, to grow, to move, to heal, to understand, connecting the mind with the heart. So again, I'm going to flash this with you, or to you. Divine will, time and space. How you will work with those keys, the trust, the surrender, putting it out there for guidance. And you just keep moving forward. Okay? So this is the second decan, March 31st to April 9th, representing the sun in Aries. So we have this strength of will, energy, really believe in this. Let's keep this energy for this decan week. And as I always mention when I do my decan readings, you can always use this card as your guide, but also see where the planetary placements and signs are currently, and see how you can work with these. We are in the sign of Aries. Okay, so we already have the fire. Our moon is in, I think it's in Sagittarius. Yes, our moon is in Sagittarius. So we have fire. So there's movement for this week, or for the next two and a half days when the moon's in Sagittarius. But the energy is waning right now when the moon's in Sagittarius. So the energy is there, but be a little bit more conservative. What do they say? Don't throw all your eggs in one basket. Be conservative with your energy. And when the moon is waning, in fire signs, it's a struggle, because fire signs, they like the movement. But when that waning moon starts happening, the energy's starting to decrease. You're moving, but just be more conservative with your energy as the moon starts lessening. And you'll feel it. You'll start seeing how things are shifting and changing, and how your perspective may be, I don't want to say not as wide, but it will be different. It'll be maybe a little bit more introspective. And again, to really reflect about what's going on. So that's where we are for this week. Second decan, March 31st to April 9th. We're in the middle of the astrological month of Aries. My next reading will be on April 10th. Give or take a day, 10th or 11th. I actually got this done on time. So when we get to that next decan from April 10th, we're going to be in the third decan, which is going to be 20 to 30 degrees. So we're going to be seeing that energy of Aries lessen, and we're going to start feeling that influence of Taurus coming in. Okay. And also look at your sign for anyone who's Aries. If you are a cusp is a sign where they're just two to 3 days before or after the changing of the sign, where that energy pulls more towards. My belief in just exploring, some people say that you're not really a cusp. You're either that sign or that sign, depending on the date. But there can be some residual energy, depending on degree-wise, how close you are between those two signs as they're transitioning from one into the other. So we will talk about that last decan as we wind down the last week of Aries, and we go into grounding Taurus, earthy energy. So we have all this fiery energy, everything's stirring, we're getting everything ready. And like I said, this Three of Wands is almost very Taurian-like in the sense that we just stop and let it go. Take a moment to be still and put trust and have faith that everything's going to be fine. So I will be back with the third decan, as I mentioned, the 10th or the 11th of April. And I wish all Aries a happy birthday to you. Many blessings. Keep that energy, keep that drive going into what you believe in. I don't have to tell you that because Aries knows that. Aries is very attuned to themselves, so they know what they have to do, and they're not going to let anyone stop them. It's their way or no way. So go to it. Put in all that drive and passion into anything that you feel very strongly about. Okay, and remember Sun in Aries for this week. And then on the 10th, we're going to talk about the Four of Wands and the planetary placements for that decan. Okay? Have a wonderful week, everyone. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Let me know how you're feeling during this period. If you feel this phase is affecting you, if you are in Aries, or if you have your moon in Aries, or any heavy fiery influences. I talked a little bit about this, about Leo, sun energy. Any of the fire signs, if you feel you connect to this particular week in a way, if it feels very empowering, let me know. And again, look astrologically where the planets are, because those will play an effect during this week as well. But these are fixed. These are just guides that we can use to better enhance each astrological decan week, so we can put better focus into what we're working on. Okay. Have a wonderful day, week. I will see you April 9th, 10th. And any questions, of course, feel free to leave in the comments. I will catch you then. Have a wonderful week. Happy birthday, Aries.